There. Ooh, there. Is that better? Is that too much?
No. Never too much, Eric.
Okay. That's me.
It could be a little louder.
Yeah.
Background music on, so forget that. Is that loud enough now? Seriously, that's okay. People in the building, this will hear it too. I won't. Thank you. Slow down. I hate that I have notes in my hand, but I'm afraid there's a few things I'll forget to say. So, first of all, my sister and I would just like to thank all of you for coming here today to honor my mom and to support my sister and I. We really appreciate that a lot. It was a deliberate decision that we waited till now to have this party. As you know, she died on Valentine's Day, and we just decided that Mother's Day weekend would be a good time to coincide to do it. And the weather cooperated, and this was a weekend that Karen and I would plant. This was Mom's condo right here, by the way, for those of you who don't know. She lived right there. And this was a weekend we would plant her flowers, and so it just seems appropriate that we're all here. So, and this is a party, which is what she wanted. In fact, the last week that before she died, when we knew that she was going to die, we thought she had about 6 months left to live. Fortunately, we treated it as if maybe she wouldn't, and we got to say everything we wanted to say, and you know, tell her how much we loved her and all that kind of stuff. And one of the conversations that she and I had in the car one day was about this, because I said, well, so when you're gone, do you want to have some kind of celebration? And she's like, well, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about it. She was, by the way, she was just brave about all of it. She faced everything just head on, as she does, and she wasn't afraid, and she would talk about it and never complain. You know, there's so many of her traits. I wished I inherited a lot of them. I didn't get that one about not complaining. But and I didn't get the one about neatness at all. But several of hers I do have. Anyway, can you, everybody hear? Okay. Okay. I said, well, so do you want to have a party? And she's like, well, I haven't given it any thought. And I said, well, just, you know, think about it sometime. We got lots of time, you know, because we thought she had months. And then, so for 2 minutes later, she says, well, yeah, I would like to have one. It's like, okay. I said, well, and the first thing she said, she goes, I want it to be in West Seattle so all my friends from the senior center can come. It's like, done. So here we are. And, yeah, and we're friends from the building here as well. And then I said, well, do you want it to be formal or informal? And she's like, informal. And I said, do you want there to be a program or just people milling around? And she said, just milling around. And there needs to be wine. She said, yeah, that's my mom. So there is wine, and I just lost my train of thought there. That's why this is here. One thing I was going to say about that last week with her, we spent a lot of really good quality time with her, and there was like in the evening, you know, I was making a dinner and just hanging out and listening to music, which you can't hear today, which I was bawling making this playlist last night. I knew no one would hear it, but that's fine. And having her and I having drinks and just hanging out like we would do. And at night, it was interesting to watch her various, just not habits, but just the way she was very regimented how she did things. It was admirable. Well, okay, a little obsessive. I definitely got that. but so I'm standing there in front of the mirror one night, she's getting ready for bed, and her skin is just like flawless. I'm looking for, she's 84 years old, and it's like, my God, I have twice as many wrinkles as you do. I'm just looking at her skin, and all she did at night was she would put on this regenerating night cream. It's like it's the knockoff brand at Rite Aid. It's like Premier Value. It's like a oil and wine knockoff. And that's how and I asked her, and she goes, yeah, that's all I put on. It's like, so when she died, I took the bottle and I've been putting it on everything else. And I'm going to continue to do it. I don't know if it's going to help. But it's like, I'll certainly try. I wanted to jump back for a second, just to, and I don't want to mention any specific people here because I don't want to leave anyone out and hurt anyone's feelings. So, but I'm going to make some generalities here. When we were, Karen and I were young, I think I was in first grade, and we lived up in Skyway, and down in Lakeridge, down the hill in Lakeridge, the better neighborhood, they opened Lakeridge Pool and Lakeridge Swim Club, and it was a stretch for our parents to afford to do it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And fortunately, they decided to do that, and it was one of the coolest things that ever could have happened for us. And we connected with just a group of incredible families that anyway, it was an amazing part of our past, and some of you are here today, and we really appreciate that a lot. That goes way back. That means a lot to us. And also, a big part of our past was Mount Hood. We moved up from Seattle, from Portland to Seattle. Oh, I just skipped that part then. No, a huge part of our past was in Oregon at our friends in Ash's home at Mount Hood, and we went there 6 times a year, and it was awesome. And it was interesting, in high school then, my friends would come over to my house sometimes just to visit my mom. She was like the cool mom.
Here's the thing, it's like,
Is your mom going to be there?
Yeah, I mean, she was just a cool mom, and she was their friend, and it was a neat thing. And some of you are here today, and I really appreciate that. And lastly, as far as friend-wise, in her later years when she moved here to the condo 8 years ago, Karen and I are extremely, extremely thankful to the wonderful group of people that she got associated with here in the building and through the senior center and all her card-playing buddies. And you guys were just awesome. It was such a comfort to us that in her later years, she had these new friendships who she ended up being really dear, dear people and treated her very well. So I want to thank all of you. That was great. I talked a little bit about her traits. And the ones, I'm just going to mention the ones that stick out to me the most. And the best one is probably that she was so incredibly strong and resilient and optimistic. I mean, you know, our dad died when I was 12 and she was 17, and she raised us by herself, and she never complained about it, and she just, you know, kind of bucked up and went on and never looked back. And she carried that all the way through, I mean, her whole life, including after she got sick with cancer. And then, like, I don't know if some of you remember, about 5 years ago, she almost died when she got pneumonia and was in rehab for a month. And then the whole cancer thing and chemo, she just always did what she had to do. She didn't complain, and she just was tough. I mean, I'm definitely not as tough as her, and I admire that about her. The only thing she did complain about, which you know what I'm going to say, she frequently can complain about being cold. And the reason she would complain about being cold is because she always had to look cute, and she had the cutest little outfits and the cutest little body, and it was not cool to wear a big bulky coat.
what did you say?
0 was her size.
Right. So, you know, she would get cold easily, and so it was a challenge at football games especially. But we got through it. The other thing was obviously her sense of humor. She was just wickedly funny, and she was fun. I mean, she knew how to have fun, and we both, I think we both inherited the sense of humor and the fun, and that comes from our dad too. He was just funnier than hell as well, probably more sarcastic than her.
Yeah.
So we're thankful that those traits were passed on. And the three things, the strongest memories I have with her, don't worry, I'm almost done, Karen. One of them is travel, and I definitely inherited that love of travel. And as you know, I mean, she liked to go, and she would go at the, you know, drop of a hat. And we did the three of us did some great trips together. Interior Mexico a couple times, to Italy, and she and Karen went to Spain, and she went on lots and lots and lots of layover trips with me. She got to meet lots of my flight attendant friends, And she was a trooper. I mean, she was always ready to go. In the beginning, it was mostly San Diego, and then in later years, we was in Juneau. We went to Boston a zillion times, D.C. to visit Mark, to say names, and
New York.
New York, yeah, several times New York, then
And she always looked cute.
right, it was cute. Cancun, Puerto Vallarta a bunch of times, Cabo, even a couple of Hawaiis. She was into it. She was just ready to go at the drop of a hat. And the other biggest thing I shared with her by far was our love of football. And
Go Cougs!
she was as much of a diehard football fan as I was. And it started when I was young. When I was in first grade, my dad started taking me to run high school football games. And I got interested in it, and after Dad died, she was into it just as much. And it's funny, it's so fitting, and then we actually had season Seahawk tickets for many years. It's fitting that I became a Cougar. I can remember when, and she was as big as diehard Coug as much as me. I can remember watching the Apple Cup when I was little, at Cook's house usually, and she always rooted for the Cougars, way back when. And so, yes, she did, didn't she? She did. Because they were always I was going to say, they were always the underdogs. You know, they were just horrid. And so I just kind of got, I don't know, indoctrinated into that when I was young. So poor Karen didn't have a chance when she went to the U. It's like there's no way she was going to be a Husky fan. So when I went to WSU, you know, she became this diehard Cougar fan with me. And we didn't get season tickets till 8 years ago. And was a great experience, and our seatmates are here today, which is very nice. And we did go, you know, the Cougars actually went to some bowl games, and we went to all of them, not in the last 8 years, but we went to all the bowl games. We actually won a couple of them, not the Rose Bowls. But the thing about going to Pullman with her, it wasn't just the football, it was the trips themselves, and that was probably my favorite travel memories with her. Because it was the whole weekend experience of it. Last year we went to all 5 games. Even though I thought she'd still be going for a few more years, I thought, let's do all 5. And of course, you know, she would go to 12 if there was 12. And it was not
You would
just...
have carried her in.
Yeah. And it was you know, we'd stop at Snoqualmie Casino on the way, and we'd listen to our favorite music in the car, and we'd eat the same place in Ellensburg, and we'd go an alternate route where we drove all the way to Sprague and then cut down this beautiful side road that someone here who I won't name told me about. Anyway, and then, you know, ate at our favorite restaurant, Swirly's, both nights, where they're like family, we know the owners, and stayed at the same shitty motel for years and years and years because they're one of the few that you can reserve rooms a year in advance. And so we just had this pattern, and it was all about that, because we'd usually lose the game. So it wasn't so much, thank God we enjoyed all of it. And then if we happened to win, it was like, woo! I mean, it was like a killer weekend. So those weekends with her will be really, 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 really hard that football season's going to be tough for me this year. I know that. It's going to be tough. And thank God she got to see last year's Apple Cup, which was one of the most amazing ever, and I'm so glad we were there for it. And the other unfortunate thing about her being gone, and I mean, we used to not only go to the Cougar games, but whether it was watching a Husky game, or, what am I saying? Well, specifically lose. Watching a Seahawk game, or a Cougar game, or the Ducks, or we just love football. We just love the game. We love to watch it. And if I wasn't here watching a game with her, we'd be on the phone, you know, calling each other. And
That's shocking, isn't it?
I'm really gonna miss that. I'm really gonna miss that. And now, unfortunately, I have just basic cable, and I'm gonna have to get expanded cable. I can't come here and watch your games anymore. So that's annoying. The
Don't
other,
come to my house.
okay, the other small, it's a big memory, but it's a smaller, shorter story, was horse racing. We have, you know, they took me to track when I was 10 years old the first time at Long Acres, and then worked there and had lots of fun times. And she and I had some really good gambling times over the years. It was annoying sometimes. We took him, but what's that? Well, yes. I was going to say, most of them were. We didn't win that often, but the most memorable was definitely year at the Kentucky Derby, and we watched it at my house instead of going out to Emerald Downs and bet online. And we both just loved I'll Have Another, and it won, and we just won a shitload of money. It was really fun. We spent like $200 each. It was just like one of the most exciting things ever. That goes into an online account, and I'm still spending it. So anyway, lastly, I just wanted to say that she was my biggest fan. She really got me. I mean, she understood me. She loved my love of music, and she was so supportive in all the music stuff I did. And when I started singing with the band 8 years ago, she was just all over that. And she would love to come and hear me sing, and she would. I know my dad was extremely musical, and I inherited some, not nearly all of that from him. And she would say to me sometimes how much my dad would have loved to hear me do this. And yeah, anyway, it was just, that was a really meaningful piece of my life that she could share in that. She was my biggest fan. And she was, no offense to anyone here, but she was literally my best friend. She really was. She wasn't just my mom. And I could tell her everything, and I did. I mean, deep, dark secrets. She knew it all, and she could handle it, and she was just a really good support. Always was, and I just felt really comfortable with her. We were very alike in so many ways, and that's what made it so easy to be her buddy. And she was an active participant in life right up till the very end. As all you know, I mean, she was still driving and, playing cards and drinking wine with her cat and, the whole, all of it. And, I mean, good for her. I mean, she's a model to all of us. I mean, just live life to your fullest. And as much as I miss her and will always miss her, I'm trying to just, and it's funny. There's a little bit of her. I guess it's like me. I'm finding myself being optimistic and just focusing on the incredible times that we did have together and all the trips we did, and it eases the pain a little bit. Anyway, I said way too much. Oh, and the one thing I did forget to say is that there are bathrooms here. Someone asked me, if you go through that door and then into the little gymnasium area, there's a women's and men's bathroom. So I'm going to turn it over to you.